Good day and welcome to Out and Equal Global Webinar Series. Today we will look at LGBT perspectives on China. Global Webinar Series is part of newly established global initiative program of Out and Equal. That, however, does not mean that Out and Equal engaged in global work only in 2015. Quite an opposite. Global initiatives were integral part of Out and Equal body of work since 10 years ago, alongside trainings, regional affiliate program, executive forum, and of course, summit. In 2003, the first international participants of Out and Equal Summit started to come in. Last year, we already welcomed attendees from 33 countries. In 2012, Out and Equal organized the first global summit in London. And it was Out and Equal that organized the first ever business forum on LGBT equality in the workplace in India, Bangalore, in 2014. All this work and interest of our partners piled up in the decision to create a separate global initiatives program. The goal of the program is to intensify our work to advance LGBT equality in the workplace around the globe. We will do it through analyzing and surveying situation in different countries and sharing the information with you, for example, through global webinar series, or through our global trainings, or global leadership day, or global workshop series. We will also establish a new fellowship program at Out and Equal. But most importantly, our work globally will be connected with our NGO partners around the world. Nowadays, we work in China, Brazil, India, Italy, Mexico, Spain, and the Czech Republic. And we will empower our partners to improve the situation of LGBT equality in the workplace in their countries. Before we move on to our webinar, just a few quick announcements. This global webinar series is part of bi-monthly global webinar series, and the next one will be in April 27, and we will talk about LGBT perspective on Eastern Europe. On March 17th, you have a chance to participate at our creme de la creme from last year's summit. The workshop this time the workshop is on the Walt Disney Company case study. Already tomorrow, as a part of Town Call series, you can join us for the session on voluntary self-identification, yet another global topic. As I mentioned, trainings is part of our work, and here you could see a date when we have a training sessions either on building bridges or train the trainer sessions. Already tomorrow, we have a launch of East Coast office and DC regional affiliate kickoff. So those of you who are in DC area, you are welcome to register for this event and come and celebrate with us opening of a East Coast office in DC. On March 22nd, we will start an executive forum at the Palace Hotel in San Francisco. And on March 24th, we will have there a Momentum Leadership Gala. And of course, we are all looking forward to October 4th, when we will start our Out and Equal Workplace Summit in Swan and Dolphin at Walt Disney World Resort, Orlando, Florida. We will start the Out and Equal Workplace Summit with a leadership seminars, which Global Leadership Seminar is part of. Today, we will talk about LGBT perspective on China. The goal of today's seminar is to look deeply into the LGBT situation in China and to see how can we help to improve the situation there. I'm proud and happy to present our panelists, Jacob Wang from IBI Cultural and Education Center and Jimmy Chen from IBM China. My name is Czesław Walek, and I'm Global Fellow of Out and Equal, and I will be moderating this session. The session is interactive session. Each of the panelists will have 15 minutes to present their presenters, and the second part of the of the presentation will be answering your questions. So I hope that you will be participating with us, not only answering our polling questions, but also chatting in your experience and asking questions to our presenters who will be able to answer them. Now, let's start with first polling question. We are interested from where you are. Where are you working? In corporations, government agencies, non-profit, academic, consultants, or others? Please chat in your options. I can see that most of you who are joining are from non-profit, some of you are from consultants, and 80% are from corporations. So sorry, it's my mistake. Most of you are actually from the corporations. Now, we are interested in what positions you are actually having in your companies. Check every options that applies: diversity and inclusion manager, global manager, ERG member, global ERG leader, training and professional development, human resources, whatever applies. As we could see, many of you are members of ERGs. Many of you are actually around 15% are global ERG leaders. We could see that we have people who are from investment and research, analysis, partners in the company, system and process integration. Welcome. Now we are interested how many of you are actually operating in China. Do you have a branch in China, or you are established there as a separate legal entity, or maybe you operate through outsourcing your services in China, or you don't operate in China? Please do chat in your answers. We have around 55% of participants who have a branch in China. Around 23% have a separate legal entity in China. We have people who have clients who are operating in China, and around 5% do not know whether their company is operating in China. Well, welcome everybody, and welcome Jacob Huang, who is a corporate program director at iBuy Cultural and Education Center. iBuy is a partner of Out and Equal, and I'm very happy to give the floor to Jacob, who will present or who will tell us more about the general situation of LGBT people in China and in Chinese workplace. Jacob, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chaz, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. This is Jacob Huang of iBuy from Beijing. And I do want to open by saying thank you all for signing up for the call. It means a lot to me that so many of you care about China and the LGBT community here. And I do apologize in advance that because I have so many slides in my presentation, so don't worry if you miss anything on it. You could always send me an email to follow up. And I do hope this is the start of our conversation if you're interested in knowing more about China or the LGBT community here. So do not hesitate to contact me. And my presentation today will be divided into two parts. The first part is where I'm going to give you a brief introduction of the LGBT status and how we started the LGBT movement in China. And the second part will be probably more relevant to your work, is how as a LGBT NGO that we work with the Chinese companies here in Beijing and in China. Next slide, please. So I want to start by giving an overview of the general environment here. So it all started with a bunch of gay activists back in early 90s when they decided that they get together in Beijing and decided they need to do something to change the living situation for LGBT people here, and along with the global LGBT movement. But it was not until right before the Beijing Olympic Games when central government of Beijing opened up and trying to show a positive image to foreign visitors. So they opened up the policy for NGO registration that we see a bunch of LGBT organizations got established back then. But things kind of slowed down during recent years, also because of the increased censorship, and several incidents happened internationally that makes the government trying to get back to control the situation. Next slide, please. So according to our surveys and studies, we found that discrimination against LGBT people are quite common in China, at school, at work, and in the society in general. Next slide, please. And the reason we believe there are two major reasons behind that. The first one is lack of education. And the second one is the invisibility of the LGBT people. Because of the hostile environment, so LGBT people just don't feel comfortable enough to, or safe enough to just come out. Next slide, please. But there is one exception, that is Taiwan in China, where you could find gay pride parades and where they have very supporting leaders. So it's probably the most acceptive province and place you could find that is very LGBT friendly in China. Next slide, please. And talking about the legal status, I just want to highlight the two milestones that we have. As you might already know, that China has doesn't have same-sex marriage, and we don't have domestic partnership, and nor any kind of anti-discrimination law to protect LGBT people. So there are only two milestones that happened. The first one is in 1997, the decriminalization of homosexuality, and back in 2001, decriminalization of homosexuality, where homosexuality has been officially removed from the China criteria of mental disorders. Next slide, please. So based on this background, we decided it is very important for us to raise the awareness of LGBT issues in the public. So last year, during this time, we initiated a campaign with a bunch of other LGBT organizations in China, and we asked a lot of questions to our respondents, and I want to share with you here with some interesting ones. So our sample was divided into two groups, the LGBT group and the ally groups. And on the left, you will see when asked about questions of coming out, you can see most of the LGBT people, over half of them, 53% of them, are not comfortable of coming out because of the hostile environment. And on the right column, you will see when asked about questions, fundamental questions regarding sexual orientation and gender identity, no matter if it is an LGBT person or allies, most of them, 55% of them, so over half of them don't really know or have the basic knowledge of sexual orientation. Next slide, please. And another interesting question is when we ask about why do they think Chinese family would feel strongly or object when one has come out. And on top of that reason, the list of reasons you can see is parents in China want their children to get married to an opposite sex, and have children at a certain age. So family culture is very important and part of the big Chinese culture. And I assume in Asia culture too. Next slide, please. And when asked about the influencing factors in terms of accepting LGBT people, not surprisingly, on top of that list, you can see it is the support from the family that is most important for people. So if you're born lucky in a supportive and more open-minded family, you will probably have a much easier time coming out and being gay in China. Next slide, please. So after the survey, we released and distributed an ad campaign based on the answers we collected, and we chose the theme "Love is not a choice," just to clarify, the confusions about sexual orientation, and we released it on February the 14th, the Valentine's Day last year. So take a moment to look at the short video. Chaz, could you please play the video? Thank you.
我们不知道为什么有些人是异性恋，而有些人是同性恋。我们生来就这样吗？没有人知道这是怎么回事。当你决定是要喜欢同性还是异性的那一刻呢？性取向不是我们可以抉择的，它就是这样子。
我们不是选择去喜欢男性，但我们就是这样的。
我们不是选择成为异性恋，但我们就是这样的。
我们不是选择成为异性恋，但我们就是这样的。
我们不是选择去喜欢女性，但我们就是这样的。
我们不是选择去喜欢男性，但我们就是这样的。
我们不是选择去喜欢女性，但我们就是这样的。
幸好世界够大，能够包容每一个我们。
Okay, next slide. Yeah, okay. So despite of the hostile environment, we do see some changes happen in China during the past decade. First of all, would be that the LGBT community start to speak up. So that's always a good thing for us. And second of all, because of the internet, definitely give us a lot of benefits with all the online social media that breaks the boundary of sharing information and knowledge. So younger generation in China tend to be more open-minded and accepting of their gay friends. And also what's worth mentioning is there's an increased interest from the academic field in gender and sexuality studies, which is also good news for us because it helps us collect more data from our community. Next slide, please. So to sum up, some of the challenges that we have in China in terms of LGBT movement, first of all, it's definitely the family pressure. So as I said before, majority of the Chinese parents expect their child to lead a heterosexual marriage life. That has been the most challenging thing in the movement. And also the ignorance of the central government, the policy restriction always make it difficult for LGBT NGO to survive here. Next slide, please. And now I want to move on to the second part of my presentation, which is the workplace. So to start off, also an overview of the Chinese workplace. So LGBT issue is still an invisible issue that the business people don't see it as an issue yet. But notably, during recent years, what's interesting is there's an increasing interest of investing in the pink market in China. So a lot of companies, they did the number and they realized there's a huge potential from the Chinese LGBT community, and they don't want to lose their gay customer here. So they started to organize campaigns to show their support of gay rights here in China. Next slide, please. And as before, the same as before, I want to start with sharing some data that we collected from our workplace surveys. So the first one is a survey conducted by iBuy in 2013. And according to our survey, only 6% out of the over 2,000 LGBT respondents at work are out. So the rest of them are either closeted or half closeted. And over half of them, 53%, have overheard or experienced homophobic language or behavior at work. And as a result, 21% of them have considered quitting their job because of the hostile environment. And we did some cross-analysis with the data, and there's a list of some interesting findings here, including state-owned companies are more hostile. But I'm not going to read through all of it. So if you're interested in reading the full report, you can go to ibuy.com. And the report is available both in English and Chinese, free of charge. You could download from iBuy. Or if you don't want to read through the full report, it's too long, it's too boring, you could always, I will share with you later an infographic link that's developed by our partner. Next slide, please. So another survey, the second survey about workplace that I want to share with you was conducted last year recently by the Beijing LGBT Center and Peking University. So as you can see here, the data they have here is similar to ours, 5%, 5.5%, and we have a 6% of the LGBT respondents out. And what's different is that they have a larger sample this time. So they have over 15,000 of respondents that's divided into two groups, the LGBT groups and the cisgender and heterosexual groups. And also they have come up with some interesting conclusions that you might find interesting to read. Next slide. And the report, the survey has not been released yet. So if you're interested in following up, please do send me an email, and I will send you the survey link as soon as it comes out. So this is the infographic that I talk about. It's translated and well designed by our partner China File. You could also go to chinafile.com and search for LGBT China workplace, and you will see the infographic. I just attached two screenshots here just to give you an example of what it looks like. Next slide, please. So based on the survey data that we collected, now I want to talk about the strategy that we made in iBuy of starting the whole workplace program. So we started 5 years ago with our presenting sponsor, IBM, who's also here today. And we initiated the first Workplace Diversity Forum in Beijing. And it has been a big success. So we have been doing that continuously for the past 5 years, along with some other projects that you can see here. Next slide, please. And it's not just iBuy, but other LGBT NGOs too started to realize the importance of working with the businesses. So you can see organizations in Shanghai and in Guangzhou in South China started to work with companies at the local level. And I'm going to share with you some local resources at the end of my presentation. Next slide, please. And there are similar challenges when we advocates in the workplace. And I just want to take a moment to highlight the last one, that because of the crisis happened in China a few years ago in the philanthropy field, so there's a drop of public trust of philanthropy in general. So we don't just easily get donations as we used to. And LGBT organizations have always been marginalized from the mainstream philanthropy. So it's a double challenge for us. Next slide, please. And now I want to give you some examples of how companies in China do their campaigns to support the LGBT courses here. So on the left, you could see there's Uniqlo and a rainbow set of clothing on their front door. And in the middle, there's a quite popular online bookstore and a poster of a gay couple. And on the right, you can see companies also seize the special occasions like Valentine's Day to post on their official accounts online to show their support of the LGBT community here in China. Next slide, please. And I do want to take a moment to mention some workplace discrimination lawsuit, which is just happened recently. The first will be what's believed to be the first probably workplace discrimination lawsuit against LGBT people. So what happened is a gay man in South China, Shenzhen, got found out by his colleagues or boss somehow that he's gay, and he got fired soon after that. But this time, instead of keep silent, he decided to fight back. So he took it to the court, and we're still waiting for a second ruling from the court. And another thing is not technically a workplace discrimination, but also a landmark that happened in 2014, where also a gay man sued a clinic for giving him conversion therapy to treat his homosexuality. And the court ruled that case was that the clinic was illegal and unnecessary. So that has been a major victory in our LGBT movement here. Next slide, please.
Jacob, we are running out of time. Can we jump into the recommendations already?
Yes, of course. And I think we're close to that. Yes, so this is the most important part of my presentation today, is where I came up with a bunch of lists of what you can do to help us make it a better place. So I'm going to go through this very quickly. The first is help us get in touch with the China office. And the second, you could help encourage your Chinese fellows to adopt the same policy that you have from your parent company, and have the same benefits for the same-sex couples as for the heterosexual couples. Next slide, please. And you could establish an active LGBT ARG, or get your partners and contractors to do the same as your company does, and organize training for your employees to raise their awareness. Or you can always work with us, with organizations like Out and Equal, to during the international occasions, to show your support of your company to the LGBT rights globally. Next slide, please. So as promised, I'm going to share with you some local resources. On the left, you can see some organizations that have experience of working with businesses here in China, including iBuy from Beijing, and Work for LGBT from Shanghai, and PFLAG from Guangzhou, South China, who have always been very active in the LGBT movement here. And on the right side, you will see some more relevant surveys and reports. So again, if you're interested in following up, please, you could search it online or send me an email. I'll be happy to answer all of your questions. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacob, for your presentation. You will stay with us, and thank you for chatting in already the questions or your experience. Please do so during the second presentation. In the second part of our webinar, we will then answer your questions. You will, of course, have a chance to ask the questions during the Q&A session. Now, before we give the floor to Jimmy, there are, again, some few polling questions that I would like you to answer. They are more specific about the workplace in China. Please let us know if your company has a diversity and inclusion strategy in China, whether it is a part of the global DI strategy, or you have a local DI strategy, or whether your local DI strategy has element of LGBT. 45% of you do not really know whether your branch has a DI strategy, but many of you have, 25% of you have a global DI strategy that is actually applicable in China. Around 16% of EU, 17% do not have any DI strategy applicable in China. Another question is concerning ERG in China. We are interested whether you have ERG in China, or whether maybe you have Asian ERG in the Asian region where China belongs to, or you don't have ERG in China. 40% of you do not have ERG in China, but there is quite a few of you that actually does have LGBT ERG in China, 11%, and many of you, around 35%, do not know whether your company actually has ERG in China. Last question in this polling is whether your company actually provides LGBT employees with any benefits in China. Yes, if so, please chat in what benefits. No, I don't know, or others. And it seems that most of you do not know whether your company actually does provide LGBT employees with any benefit. 13% know that you provide benefits, and 16% know that you don't provide any benefits to LGBT employees in China. Now, I will give the floor to another speaker, Jimmy Chen, who is a patent attorney but is Eagle chapter leader in IBM China. Jimmy, floor is yours.
Thank you, Tess. Next chart, please. Today, I'm going to brief you guys with what we have been doing in the China, mostly China, the Greater China region. So first, I want to share with you guys what we want and what we do want in IBM. First of all, what we want, actually, we want to cover all the LGBT spectrum in the business world. So we want LGBT employees, customers, and business partners are fully accepted. And also, we want LGBT people to be treated equally. So first, they do not fear harassment, and they can feel equal, and also allow them to contribute to their optimum. And also, we want LGBT employees to establish network groups, which allow them to share among themselves experiences, encourage, and learn from each other. And also allow the LGBT employees to have a channel to actually advance their needs to the IBM management team. Also, we want to support the LGBT community's requirements in general, mostly like in the equal treatment. What we do not want, conflict with local law or give any preferential treatment and or put press LGBT community within our supportive actions. This is also the basic idea of equal, and the other thing is what I want to focus is we do not want pressure on LGBT employees to come out. This is especially in the China context. Next chart, please. And in IBM, diversity inclusion is deeply embedded into the core value and culture. That's why back in 2008, IBM is the first company actually launches the LGBT ERG in China. And also, it is very clear to the management team, LGBT diversity inclusion is a business case, not something personal. And can attract talent, retain talent, can improve productivity, can drive innovation, and thus drive business. This is really important because you want the company to know that it is a business case. It's not something we want to do generally for the human rights. Okay, next chart. Now I'm going to share with you what approaches were adopted. Here is all the charts about China, but I think for the States or some other parts of the world, we have a global policy. I majorly covered the China policies here. So during recruitment and hiring stage, we will make sure that gender identity or expression, sexual orientation are not considered at all. So the information we needed for some candidate to fill in is just, you can see in the left part. Its name, correspondence language, contact number, blah, blah, blah. And that, in the right is most of the company. Nowadays, they need you to fill in gender, age, marriage, status, all this kind of information. Next slide, please. And during onboard and employment stage, we have a self-disclosure sexual orientation index in the system. Actually, IBM can self-disclose their sexual orientation, but it is mentioned clearly that only 2 individuals, database administrator and a global LGBT constituency manager, have the access to the data, and only for statistics purpose. Also, internal HR website, it is clearly listed. The LGBT diversity is one of 6 diversity inclusion focus areas. And also, we have clear stated in the employees manual and internal HR website. IBM China, IBM GCG, the Greater China Group actually provides the benefits for same-sex couple. And the only supporting document needed is a FDA form signed by the LGBT employee confirming their relationship, and only the one who processed the request can know the information. The information will not disclose to anyone else. And also, we have well-structured ERGs to support LGBT diversity and inclusion, and I'll talk more about it in later charts. And when coming to the Chinese contest, as you can see in Jacob's presentation, actually it's still a little bit not so promising. So we have a single direction distribution list, including all the LGBT employees, that is only maintained and seen by myself, so that to protect their privacy. Next chart, please. And for ERG structure, we have just mentioned the ego distribution list. It's email distribution list, and it's single direction, and only I can see who's in it. And we have a ego, which is Employees Alliance for LGBT Empowerment, our LGBT ERG, and only LGBT employees can join, and only after with the approval of the leader. And this is only closed for within the LGBT employees, and this is because people can see each other. So, which means people, members in this ERG are out to other LGBT peers. And I have also utilized a lot of social tools nowadays between the EGO members. And we have enlarged members called EGO and Friends. And it's also an online community. Anyone can join. So this can actually help to protect the privacy of the LGBT employees. And also in China, we launched Straight Ally ERG for straight people that support the LGBT. And actually, as far as I know, some of my LGBT co-workers, they sign in the Straight Ally because they want to protect their privacy. And this is very important, I think. And only the number of the members are disclosed and nothing more. Next chart, please. I will talk about more about the educational efforts. So there at high mentor level, there is a sponsor, executive sponsor called LGBT ambassador. He or she will demonstrate strong support for LGBT in different occasions, and also diversity and inclusion, including the LGBT diversity inclusion, is included in the new employees and orientation, new manager training, and these are training models are mandatory for new employees and new managers. Also, Straight Ally training model is provided through self-paced learning system. You can certify as an ally. We also have a innovative warning reverse mentoring program that LGBT employees can act as mentors to actually mentor the line managers to open dialogue. And each June, the LGBT Pride Month, we held a series of awareness-raising events. This is open to all the employees. Some of them like T-shirt design or a roadshow, LGBT quiz, or in-person panel discussion, online forum, or offline workshop, forum, etc., all these kind of activities. Next chart, please. IBM China has reached out to LGBT community in general. So we've been working with NGOs, both sponsoring and monitoring. Like mentioned by Jacob from iBuy, we've been working with them to help the from the very first till the fourth LGBT diversity workplace forum in Beijing. And we've been working with communities in Hong Kong and work for LGBT in Shanghai, and Peace Flag China in Guangzhou, and Beijing LGBT Center and Shanghai Pride. And we also work with the other corporations. They actually have business in China. We're supporting them to build a strong, supporting them to start their LGBT ERG, so that we can together build a stronger LGBT professional community in this world. These companies, including Goldman Sachs, GE, Lenovo, Ogilvy, BP, Bank, all these have been sharing the IBM's best practice with them. Also, we've been working with other entities supporting the LGBT activities and demonstrate IBM's position publicly to to build a stronger LGBT community. Activities including the panel discussion held by Beijing American Center of the U.S. Embassy, and we've been working on working with Destination Club in Beijing, and also LGBT Community Center. And next chart, please. This is majorly, I think, the important chart for today's briefing. I'll give you guys some tips for the businesses that operates in China. First, I think most of the U.S. companies have the non-discrimination policies adopted globally. First, to make sure the policy can actually apply to entities in China, and tailor them to adapt the local context if possible. And also, sometimes the like my experience, it's always there, and they just need some next work to do so. And second, make sure supports and pushes are from local high-level management, because according to my experiences, I have been working with some other MNCs operating in China. I've been working with their LGBT employees, trying to push their LGBT ERGs, and there are always excuses saying that we're not ready, all this kind of stuff. So if the push and supports are from high management team, which will make it easier. And the third, make sure at least someone from HR is responsible for the LGBT inclusion. This is really important too, because if it is under a general diversity and inclusion spectrum, it always will be omitted. Well, I think not always, but probably will be omitted, and it leads to nothing about LGBT. Always direct to the women or some other diversity programs. And the four, make sure it is a business case. Demonstrate to the management team it is a business case, it's not just something personal. And also make sure someone that is a subject expert in place can answer the questions, and to help. Last but not least, there might be difficulties, but it will advance as long as we keep it going. And next chart, please. I'll just show you guys some of the pictures for your eye. Okay, just quickly, and it's end.
Okay, I will have to ask you to finish your presentation, because we want at least 10 minutes to have for our discussion. So thank you very much.
It's already done.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And right now I open the floor for the discussion. We already had some quite interesting questions chat in. Please don't hesitate to chat more questions. First question is for Jacob. Jacob Eduardo is asking whether you could say a little bit more about the surveys you mentioned, especially what was the number of people surveyed in the surveys you mentioned, and whether you know how many men and women. And Cynthia is asking what I-buy means.
Yes.
Jacob, are you?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't catch the second question. What's I-buy?
What does I-buy mean? What the name of your organization means?
Okay, I see. So yes, to answer the first question, this two survey about workplace. The two workplace surveys. The first one was conducted by I-buy back in 2013, and we have 2,161, so over 2,000 LGBT respondents, and that is a survey for Chinese LGBT employees to basically answer questions about their work environments. So, and we do have a lot of data, including like the sample pool, including women and gay and lesbian and bisexual, and you could see, so you could just go to chinafile.com and search for the infograph. You will see a more comprehensive sort of results of that survey. And the second survey is conducted by Beijing LGBT Center and Beijing University last year, and it has not been released yet. I just got this underground from my colleagues in Peking University. That survey have a larger sample, and it includes not just LGBT people, but also heterosexual respondents. So they will have more questions regarding the comparison between the LGBT pool and heterosexual pool to find out the differences. What's the second question? Yeah, so
what does IBAN mean?
Find out more. Yeah, what does IBAN mean? You could always find out more about the survey. Just search online or send me an email. I can send you the survey reports. And IBAI actually is a Chinese name that is short for 爱情白皮书, which means love white paper in English. Because IBAI was founded by a gay couple in South China 15 years ago. And they started a blog to write about their love story, and then they received a lot of questions on their blog of people asking about questions about being gay and sexual orientation. So they found out it is very necessary to, transform their website or their love story into a more comprehensive educational website, so people could have access to all the information in LGBT news around the world and knowledge. So that's when we transform IBAI into a website where people can search for LGBT news, and we release and distribute survey results on our website. And that transformation started in 2005. Yes.
Thanks a lot. Jimmy, Bernice is asking how many members are in the straight LIERG of IBM.
In China, we now we have more than 200, and we're trying to do it within a couple of years. Hit up 1,000.
Okay, great. Maybe this is the question to both of you by Eduardo. He's asking, how is it possible that in China, in a country with so many challenges, companies can actually produce LGBT advertisement? How is this advertisement received by general public? Jacob, maybe you could start answering, because you mentioned those examples. Yeah, you mentioned those examples in your presentation.
Okay. Well, it's not easy, as being said, that it's always a challenging course. But I think it all started with globally the LGBT movement moved forward, and more companies started to realize that the LGBT market is a huge market. And if you do the percentage, I mean, I'm talking about billions of dollars here in China. So they definitely start to realize the importance of, supporting the LGBT community here. And then there it is. So business will come to ask, because they know nothing about the LGBT community. They have to go through a nonprofit organization like us and ask how they could start, by working with us or working internally for their employees. And probably Jimmy could share.
How is it received by the general public, this kind of advertisement?
Well, it has been very well received, I have to say. Both of our business practice that I share in the presentation, like the IBM, the business forum with IBM, and some of our other projects that we work with companies like Goldman Sachs for college senior LGBT students, all have been very well received. What is difficult for us is not that people don't like us, but the central government is trying to control everything because they don't want a big crowd, or a pride parade, those kind of things. So we cannot organize those in Beijing, but internally we can always work with businesses and companies inside of their company for the employees.
But I think what was the question is like if the government is challenging you, not, for example, to organize the Pride, how can companies publicly advertise or market to LGBT community? The government doesn't ban the businesses to actually advertise to LGBT community.
Well, I think I can take that question because we've been working with IBI trying to do a lot of work, and our experience is like do it in the business world, strictly within the business world. It's all about business. It's nothing about the LGBT equal rights. And if you mention rights, the government will be very sensitive. But if you are doing that, saying that, oh, this is for business, because promoting LGBT diversity inclusion can actually, help business grow, or this kind of stuff. It's a business case. So, and also, I think it's important when you to the business itself. So, keep it in the business world.
Wonderful. Well, unfortunately, we are nearly running out of time, so there are a few questions that we will answer later in our blog, but I will ask now you guys for maybe some few closing comments. Jacob, would you like to start?
Yes. So I know it's been a little bit rush that we have very limited time to present. So I just want to close by saying that thank you all very much for your interest in China and the LGBT community. And please do not hesitate to connect with me, connect with us, or any of the organization out there if you are interested in knowing more and if you miss anything in my slides. Yes, that will be all. Thank you very much for a great session today, Jess.
Thank you, Jacob. Jimmy, a few closing remarks from your side.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to actually share our experiences. And also, the same as Jacob, I'm very welcome for anyone who is interested in this, and or they want to set up the LGBT ERG or policies and or in China. Always welcome anytime to reach me by email or I think that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Well, thank you to both of you for sharing with us information about the situation of LGBT people in Chinese workplace, and also about your work, what you are doing to advance LGBT rights in China. Thank you all for the participation and for listening. As it was said, we will send the slide and the recording to you via email. Next time we are meeting on April 27th, and we will be talking about Eastern Europe. We will be looking at the LGBT situation in the Czech Republic, Poland, and Hungary. Goodbye, and let us not forget that there is millions of LGBT people around the world that are suffering, and we have a power to make their lives better. So goodbye.